Are you living for applause or for purpose? It's a profound question, one that cuts to the very core of how we navigate our lives. We often find ourselves caught in a relentless current, a subtle yet powerful undertow that pulls us away from our authentic selves. This current is the pervasive, often unconscious desire to be liked by absolutely everyone. It manifests as the constant pressure to say the right thing, to do the right thing, to be the right person, all for the elusive approval of others. You might feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly gauging reactions, terrified of judgment. You might tell yourself you're simply being kind, agreeable, or trying to keep the peace. But what if I told you that this very pursuit, this deep-seated craving for universal acceptance, is one of the most foolish, self-sabotaging things you can ever do to yourself? It's not kindness, it's an invisible cage, meticulously constructed brick by brick, often by your own hand. Think about it. Your kindness, in its most extreme form, can actually be killing you. That smile you plaster on when you're utterly exhausted. That endless availability you offer when your own well is dry. That crippling inability to say no when your spirit screams enough. This isn't making you a better person in the long run, it's making you a lesser, diminished version of yourself. Every single time you utter a yes when your intuition, your body, your very soul cries out no, you're committing a slow, insidious form of self-sabotage. You're sacrificing your potential, your peace, and ultimately your unique purpose on the altar of temporary popularity. You're trading your destiny for fleeting, often superficial approval. The graveyards of the world are filled with the untapped potential of individuals who were simply too friendly to fight for their dreams, too nice to nurture their own brilliant potential, too afraid of disapproval to disappoint anyone but themselves. They died with their music still in them, their books unwritten, their businesses unstarted, their true voices unheard, all because the fear of not being universally liked loomed larger than the courage to be authentically themselves. Right now, as you read this, something profound is slipping away. Every minute, every hour you spend trying to make everyone else happy, you're losing a piece of yourself. Your precious potential is bleeding away while you nod, smile, and say yes to commitments that relentlessly steal your irreplaceable time, deplete your vital energy, and hijack your core purpose. This isn't a call to become callous or unkind. It's a radical invitation to stop being too friendly in ways that are detrimental to your own well-being and life mission. No, I am absolutely not suggesting you become mean, rude, or indifferent to others. Caring about people, showing empathy, and being supportive are cornerstones of a rich, fulfilling life. What I am saying, with absolute conviction, is that for many, this constant, compulsive need to please everyone around you is actively killing your future. You are so preoccupied with being perpetually nice that you have no time left to cultivate true greatness within yourself, no space to pursue the unique mark you are meant to leave on the world. Where does this insidious behavior come from? We are, undeniably, social creatures. From our earliest days, we are conditioned to seek approval. Good grades in school often involve pleasing teachers. Fitting in with peers requires a degree of social conformity. Pleasing our parents often feels like a prerequisite for love and acceptance. Making and keeping friends inherently involves being liked. To a certain extent, this is natural, even healthy. It's how we learn to navigate social structures and form communities. But somewhere along the line, for far too many of us, this natural inclination morphs into an obsession. It transforms into a toxic belief system where our inherent worth becomes directly tied to how many people approve of us, how few people criticize us, how universally accepted we are. This isn't about consciously deciding to be difficult or rude. Rather, it's about the subtle, often unconscious ways we betray our own deepest values, stifle our authentic voice, and dilute our unique identity, all in the desperate, often futile, hope of avoiding disapproval. And the cruel, ironic twist? It rarely works. The people who genuinely value you will respect your boundaries. Those who don't never truly liked you for who you are anyway. You find yourself saying yes when every fiber of your being screams no. You're giving away your most valuable non-renewable resource, your time, to people who don't genuinely value it, or who certainly don't value it as much as you should. You're constantly putting other people's priorities, needs, and whims ahead of your own vital purpose. This excessive friendliness isn't kindness in its truest sense. It's a profound form of self-sabotage. When you try to please everyone, you inevitably end up pleasing no one. And most tragically, you fail to please yourself. Your relationships become deeply unbalanced. Others start to subtly, or not so subtly, expect your sacrifice as a given. They begin to see your time, your energy, and your resources as something they're inherently entitled to. And the most dangerous part, you slowly, tragically, start to believe it too. The most insidious aspect of being too friendly isn't merely what it compels others to do, it's what it makes you believe about yourself. You begin to internalize the false narrative that your value, your worth as a human being, is derived solely from how much you give away, how endlessly available you are, how much you sacrifice for others. You begin to measure your self-worth by how much others need you, rather than by how true you are to your own purpose, your own calling, your own inherent brilliance. This is a path to profound emptiness, a journey away from your authentic self. Let me be brutally honest about what inevitably happens when you allow the tendency to be too friendly to dominate your life. The consequences are far from benign. They are deeply corrosive, affecting every facet of your existence, from your mental and emotional well-being to your ability to achieve your most cherished aspirations. First and foremost, you become utterly exhausted. Your energy, both physical and mental, is not an unlimited resource. It's a finite well, and every single time you say yes to something that isn't genuinely aligned with your core purpose, with your true values, or with your authentic self, you are simultaneously saying no to your own potential, to your own rest, to your own creative flow. You can't perpetually pour from an empty cup, and yet, tragically, so many of you are running on fumes, operating on sheer willpower. Because you've metaphorically given everything away, leaving nothing left for the person who needs it most, yourself. This isn't sustainable. It's a direct path to burnout, cynicism, and a profound sense of depletion. Second, and intimately linked to exhaustion, you become deeply resentful. It starts subtly, a tiny, almost imperceptible voice in the back of your mind. It whispers, "Why am I always the one picking up the slack? Why am I always the one sacrificing? Why am I always putting others first while my own needs are ignored?" That whisper gradually grows louder, evolving into a murmur, then a grumble, and finally a roaring inner complaint. Until one day, that pent-up resentment, that suppressed anger and frustration spills over. It contaminates your relationships, poisoning the very connections you were so desperately trying to nurture. This resentment isn't just directed outward, it turns inward, festering into self-blame and a sense of being perpetually wronged, further eroding your self-worth. It transforms the supposed kindness you offered into a bitter transaction. Third, and perhaps most painful in its irony, you lose respect. Yes, that's right. It's a harsh truth, but people, even those you're trying so desperately to please, do not truly respect those who do not respect themselves. When you consistently allow others to walk all over you, when you drop everything at a moment's notice to meet their needs, when you perpetually put yourself last, you are sending a clear, albeit unconscious message to the world. My time isn't valuable, my boundaries don't matter, my purpose isn't important, and here's the kicker, people will believe you. They will internalize that message and treat you accordingly. They may enjoy the convenience of your constant availability, but convenience is not respect. True respect is earned by integrity, by having clear principles, and by valuing your own precious resources. And most tragically of all, you miss your destiny. You were not born merely to be everyone's assistant, everyone's perpetual helper, or everyone's emotional doormat. You were not put on this earth simply to make everyone else comfortable at your own expense. You were created with a specific, unique purpose. You possess distinct gifts, talents, and a contribution that only you can authentically make to the world. But you cannot possibly fulfill that profound purpose if you are constantly derailed, sidetracked, and pulled off course by every single request, every perceived need, every demand that comes your way. Your life becomes a series of reactions rather than a focused, intentional journey toward your highest calling. Let's illustrate these unseen costs with a deeper dive into real-world scenarios. Consider the story of Sarah. Sarah is exceptionally intelligent, brimming with creative ideas, and possessed a vibrant, passionate spirit when she first embarked on her professional career. She was eager to contribute, to speak her mind, and to bring innovative solutions to the table. However, she quickly observed a subtle but pervasive dynamic in her workplace. Some colleagues seemed to prefer a more agreeable approach, avoiding any perceived conflict. Certain bosses overtly valued loyalty and conformity over bold, disruptive innovation. So Sarah began to adapt. It wasn't a conscious, malicious choice, but a slow, almost imperceptible morphing. In one meeting, she'd find herself agreeing with the majority opinion, even when she privately held a vastly superior solution. In another, she'd force a laugh at jokes she didn't find remotely funny, just to fit in and appear amiable. She became, in essence, a professional chameleon, expertly blending into any environment. On the surface, her strategy seemed successful. She was widely perceived as popular, easy to work with, and generally well-liked. But deep down, Sarah was profoundly miserable. She wasn't innovating, she was conforming. She felt like a fraud, a pale imitation of her vibrant self. Her work, once a source of passion, became uninspired, pedestrian, because she was no longer bringing her authentic self, her unique brilliance to it. Her true potential remained locked away, hidden behind a facade of pleasantries and agreement, all because she was too busy trying to be liked by everyone, rather than being respected for the brilliant, insightful woman she truly was. Eventually, Sarah burned out, not from overwork in the traditional sense, but from the exhausting mental gymnastics of constantly trying to be someone else, of suppressing her true voice. Her career stagnated, her passion waned, and her sense of self eroded. Sarah's story, sadly, is not unique. When you make the pursuit of universal likability your primary objective, you invariably pay a steep, often hidden price. Firstly, you lose your authenticity. You become a watered-down, diluted version of yourself. You can't genuinely stand for anything specific because taking a firm stance might, heaven forbid, alienate someone. You can't express a strong, original opinion because it might contradict someone else's. And in doing so, you become forgettable. As the iconic Kurt Cobain famously, albeit harshly, put it, "I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not." It's a raw, uncomfortable truth, but it's profoundly insightful. If you're constantly morphing, shifting, and adapting to fit every external expectation, who exactly are they liking? It's not the real you, it's a phantom, an agreeable ghost. Consider another archetype, David. A genuinely kind and well-intentioned person who always saw himself as the quintessential good friend to everyone. If one friend suggested going to the cinema, he went, even if he secretly preferred a quiet evening at home. If another friend desperately needed help moving, he'd drop everything, his own plans, his own rest, his own commitments to be there. He lent money he couldn't realistically afford to lose, and always had an open ear for endless complaints, often without offering solutions or receiving reciprocal support. David truly believed he was cultivating strong, meaningful friendships, but what he was inadvertently building was a sprawling network of acquaintances and dependents who perceived him as an endlessly accommodating resource, not a complex human being with his own needs, dreams, and crucially, boundaries. He rarely felt truly seen, valued, or appreciated for who he was, only for what he provided. When he finally tentatively attempted to set a boundary or utter the forbidden word no, some of his friends reacted with genuine shock, even anger. This visceral reaction occurred precisely because they liked the version of David who always said yes, not the emergent David who possessed his own limits and self-respect. His desperate, lifelong need to be liked led to profound exhaustion, simmering resentment, and ultimately a crushing feeling of being used and unvalued. This brings us to the second and third devastating costs. Secondly, you stunt your personal growth. True growth, profound learning, and meaningful self-improvement come from challenge, from stepping into discomfort, from making mistakes, from receiving constructive feedback, and from having the courage to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's unpopular. If you are perpetually afraid to ruffle feathers, you will never voice that innovative paradigm-shifting idea that could revolutionize your industry. You will never challenge the dysfunctional status quo. You will never push yourself beyond the comfortable, safe confines of what is already universally accepted. You remain stagnant, trapped in a self-imposed echo chamber of agreeable mediocrity. Thirdly, and perhaps most psychologically damaging, you end up with a fragmented identity. You become one person with your family, another with your colleagues, and yet another with your diverse circles of friends. You morph into a collection of masks, constantly shifting and adjusting, and in this relentless process, you slowly, tragically, lose touch with your authentic core self. This internal conflict, this perpetual performance, is incredibly draining. It leads to profound anxiety, chronic stress, a deep sense of unfulfillment, and often a pervasive feeling of not truly belonging anywhere, even when you're surrounded by people. Brené Brown, the renowned researcher on vulnerability, encapsulates this perfectly. Fitting in is about assessing a situation and becoming who you need to be accepted. Belonging, on the other hand, doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. When you ceaselessly chase universal likability, you are chasing fitting in, not true, authentic belonging. You are exchanging the profound security of being known and loved for who you are, for the exhausting pursuit of being liked for who you pretend to be. So if the path of universal likability leads to exhaustion, resentment, diminished respect, and a fragmented identity, what's the alternative? It's crucial to understand that the solution is not about becoming unlikable. It's not about being rude, callous, or uncaring. Instead, it's about a profound shift in perspective. Recognizing that not everyone will like you, and that this reality is not only perfectly okay, but it's absolutely necessary for your growth and fulfillment. When you release the impossible burden of trying to please every single person, you unlock an incredible, transformative freedom. Imagine the immense mental energy you currently expend worrying about others' opinions, replaying conversations, strategizing how to avoid offense. When you stop trying to be everything to everyone, all that mental bandwidth becomes instantly available to you. You free up precious cognitive and emotional resources that can then be redirected towards what truly matters: your genuine thoughts, your deepest passions, and the pursuit of your authentic purpose. You gain the courage to express what you truly believe, even if it's unpopular. You find the strength to pursue what genuinely excites you, even if others don't understand. And most importantly, you cultivate the fortitude to set healthy boundaries. When you courageously embrace your authentic self, you might, yes, lose some superficial connections. The fair-weather friends, the acquaintances who only valued your constant yes, the colleagues who preferred your compliant version, they might drift away. And that's not just okay, it's a necessary pruning. Because what you gain is infinitely more valuable. You attract the right people. You draw into your life those who resonate with the real you, who appreciate your quirks, respect your opinions, and cherish your genuine self. These are the individuals who will truly respect and value you, not for what you can do for them, but for who you are. They are the ones who will support your growth, challenge you constructively, and celebrate your triumphs, even when those triumphs stem from choices that some others might not have approved of. As the wise Dr. Seuss so eloquently put it, those who mind don't matter. and those who matter don't mind. It's a simple truth, yet it holds immense power. It liberates you from the tyranny of external opinion and anchors you in the unwavering truth of your own worth. Now let's talk about healthy boundaries. This is often where people get stuck, fearing that setting limits will alienate them. But here's a powerful reframe. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges. They don't disconnect you from others. Paradoxically, they create the very conditions for authentic, respectful connection. When you possess clear, well-communicated boundaries, people understand what to expect from you. They learn that you value yourself, your time, and your energy. And here's the unexpected benefit. They often value you more because of it. Think about the people you genuinely respect the most in your own life. Are they the ones who are always available, always saying yes, always putting themselves last? Or are they the ones who have clear priorities, who value their time, who know precisely when to say yes, and crucially, when to say no? The answer is almost always the latter. Respect is drawn to strength, not indiscriminate compliance. Setting boundaries isn't an act of selfishness. It's an act of stewardship. You have been given unique gifts, talents, resources, and a finite amount of time on this planet. You are profoundly responsible for managing these precious assets wisely. You are accountable for the life you've been given, for the potential you possess. Being too friendly often translates directly into being a poor steward of your own purpose, squandering your gifts on misaligned priorities. Many people live with the pervasive fear that if they stop being so perpetually friendly, people simply won't like them anymore. Let me share a profound and perhaps uncomfortable truth that needs to be deeply internalized. If people only like you because you never say no, because you're perpetually available, because you consistently put their needs above your own, then they don't truly like you. What they like is what you do for them. They like the convenience, the benefits of your sacrifice, the ease of your availability, but they don't like you for who you are. Because in all that exhaustive giving, you've likely lost sight of who you are, or at least failed to express it. This is a critical distinction between genuine affection and transactional appreciation. There's a colossal difference between true kindness and being taken advantage of. Kindness stems from a place of inner strength and self-respect. It's a conscious choice you make from a position of abundance. You have enough to give and you choose to give it generously and wisely. Kindness says, I see your need, and I choose to help because I care and it aligns with my values and capacity. Kindness fills you up, reinforces your sense of purpose, and builds genuine connection. Being taken advantage of, conversely, stems from a place of perceived weakness, fear, or insecurity. It's what happens when you don't value yourself enough to establish and uphold healthy boundaries. It says, I have to meet your need because I'm terrified of your disapproval, your judgment, or your rejection. Being taken advantage of drains you, diminishes you, and fosters resentment, ultimately eroding the very relationships it sought to preserve. I have witnessed, time and again, countless talented individuals squander their extraordinary potential because they simply couldn't utter the word no. I've seen brilliant minds trapped in the quicksand of mediocrity because they were too busy tirelessly meeting everyone else's expectations to relentlessly pursue their own vision of excellence. I have stood by as individuals with truly world-changing ideas never changed a single thing because they were too friendly to rock the boat, to challenge the status quo, to make anyone uncomfortable. Don't let that be your story. Your narrative deserves a more powerful, purposeful ending. Let me share another illustrative story, one that encapsulates the profound shift possible when you prioritize purpose over perpetual people-pleasing. This is the story of Marcus, a brilliant young man I had the privilege of mentoring some years ago. When I first met him, Marcus was trapped in a grueling cycle. He was working an exhausting 80 hours a week at a job he genuinely despised, all because he couldn't bring himself to disappoint his demanding boss. His weekends, rather than being a time for rest or personal pursuits, were entirely consumed by a never-ending stream of family obligations. Not because he genuinely wanted to be there for every single one, but because he simply couldn't bear to utter the word no to relatives who had come to expect his boundless availability. His circle of friends regularly took advantage of his generosity, borrowing money they never repaid, showing up at his apartment unannounced, expecting him to drop everything at a moment's notice to cater to their whims. Marcus was, in the eyes of many, everyone's friend, the reliable one, the go-to guy, the ultimate accommodator. But tragically, he had absolutely no time left to pursue his own burgeoning dream. He harbored a passionate desire to start his own business, a venture he believed could genuinely make a difference. Yet, between his soul-crushing job and the relentless demands of all his friendships, he could barely find time to sleep, let alone dedicate the focused energy required to build something truly his own. He was living a life dictated by others, a life devoid of his own agency and purpose. One day, I asked him a simple, yet profoundly unsettling question. "Marcus, what would genuinely happen if you simply disappeared tomorrow?" He looked at me, utterly confused. So I pressed on, explaining, "If you vanished, your company would, without a doubt, hire someone else to fill your role. Your family, despite their initial distress, would find other ways to handle their issues and obligations. Your friends, the ones who are currently taking advantage of you, would swiftly find someone else to exploit. Life, in essence, would go on without you, but your purpose, that unique, invaluable contribution that only you can make to the world, that would die with you. That potential would remain tragically unfulfilled." That stark reality hit him with the force of a physical blow. He suddenly understood. He had been living his life as if his only inherent value was derived from what he could do for others, rather than from what he was profoundly created to be and do for himself and for the world. Over the course of the next year, Marcus embarked on a radical transformation of his life. He began by setting clear, non-negotiable office hours, and despite his boss's initial resistance and subtle attempts to infringe, he firmly stuck to them. He started tentatively at first, saying no to family demands that weren't genuine emergencies, explaining calmly that he had other commitments. He initiated honest, albeit uncomfortable, conversations with his friends about the increasingly one-sided nature of their relationships. Some of those friendships predictably withered and ended. That process was painful, undoubtedly, but it was absolutely necessary for his liberation and growth. With his newly established boundaries, Marcus finally found the precious, dedicated time he needed to work on his business idea. He started small, dedicating evenings and weekends, pouring his heart and soul into his nascent venture. As his business slowly began to grow and generate revenue, he strategically reduced his hours at his soul-crushing job. 2 years later, with a mix of trepidation and exhilarating freedom, he quit altogether to run his own company full-time. The most interesting and affirming part of his journey? The people who truly cared about Marcus, the ones who valued him for who he was, not just what he could do for them, genuinely respected his new boundaries. Those authentic relationships didn't just survive, they grew stronger, deeper, and far more meaningful. The relationships that couldn't withstand the presence of his boundaries weren't truly worth keeping in the first place. Today, Marcus's business thrives, employing 15 dedicated people. His company plays a vital role in connecting small farmers with local markets, significantly improving both their livelihoods and increasing access to fresh, healthy food in underserved communities. He is making a tangible, positive difference in the world, a difference that never would have materialized if he had remained trapped in the prison of being too friendly. His story is a testament to the power of reclaiming your agency and honoring your purpose. I'm not suggesting for a moment that you should cease caring about people. Empathy, compassion, and support are fundamental to the human experience. What I am saying with unwavering conviction is that you must start caring about your purpose even more. Think about the standard safety instructions given on an airplane emergency. What do they tell you? Put your own oxygen mask on first before attempting to help others. Why this seemingly selfish instruction? Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, you become utterly useless. You can't help anyone. The same profound principle applies directly to your life. If you are constantly giving all of your energy, your time, your resources away, you will eventually have nothing left for your unique purpose. And if you never fulfill your purpose, the world tragically loses the irreplaceable, unique contribution that only you can make. Your time is not a renewable resource. Once it's gone forever, irrevocably. Every minute you spend on activities that do not genuinely align with your profound purpose is a minute you will never ever get back. Every yes to something that doesn't genuinely matter to your core mission means an automatic no to something that profoundly does. Stop being too friendly with your precious time. Stop being excessively generous, to your own detriment, with your finite energy. Stop saying yes when your deepest spirit, your intuition, is screaming no. This isn't about transforming into a selfish individual. On the contrary, it's about becoming profoundly focused. It's about recognizing with liberating clarity that you simply cannot be all things to all people, nor were you ever meant to be. It's about understanding that the greatest, most impactful gift you can possibly bestow upon the world isn't your compliance, your endless availability, or your perpetual agreeableness. It is your authentic contribution. It is your purpose bravely and diligently fulfilled. It is your boundless potential, fully and vibrantly realized. Many people, sadly, live their entire lives without ever drawing a firm line, without ever declaring this far and no further. They become literal human doormats, allowing everyone and everything to walk all over them, to dictate their schedule, to drain their resources. Then, with a profound sense of bewilderment and unfulfillment, they wonder why they feel so empty, so utterly exhausted, so deeply resentful. They question why their most cherished dreams never materialize, why their ambitious goals remain stubbornly out of reach, why their unique purpose goes tragically unfulfilled. The answer, though often uncomfortable, is disarmingly simple. They were too friendly with the wrong things, and tragically, not friendly enough with the right ones. Specifically, their own needs, their own boundaries, and their own calling. Too many individuals have meticulously built their own personal prisons with the bricks of accommodation. They have painstakingly constructed impenetrable walls of compliance around their magnificent potential. They have fortified these self-imposed prisons with the cold, hard cement of fear, the paralyzing fear of rejection, the haunting fear of disapproval, the primal fear of being utterly alone. And now, ironically, they sit isolated within these very structures they themselves painstakingly built, wondering why their lives feel so confined, so limited, so distant from the vibrant, expansive future they once dreamed of. The key to unlocking this freedom, to dismantling this self-made prison, is literally in your hand right now. That key is the word no. 2 letters, 1 syllable, infinite, transformative power. When you learn to say no with conviction, grace, and clarity to what does not truly serve your purpose, you miraculously create vast, liberating space to say a resounding yes to what profoundly does. Most people, tragically, have this fundamental principle backward. They say yes to everything, then are left bewildered as to why they have absolutely no room, no energy, no time left for their true priorities. Your no is as fundamentally important as your yes, and in many cases it is even more important, for it defines what you stand for by what you refuse to compromise. Every single great achievement throughout human history stemmed from someone who had the courage to say no to distractions and a fierce yes to relentless focus. Every scientific breakthrough, Every artistic innovation, every significant movement forward in human progress happened because someone steadfastly refused to scatter their invaluable energy and instead concentrated it with laser-like precision on what truly mattered most. I have observed countless talented, intelligent, and capable people who never achieved what they were truly capable of because they simply couldn't refuse the constant, clamoring demands on their finite time and precious energy. Meanwhile, I've watched individuals with half their inherent talent accomplish twice as much, simply because they instinctively understood and wielded the profound power of no. No is not, as many mistakenly believe, a harsh rejection of others. It is at its core a vital protection of yourself, your invaluable time, your irreplaceable energy, your sacred purpose. It is a mature acknowledgement that your personal resources are inherently finite and therefore must be stewarded with profound wisdom and intention. The strongest, most impactful people I know are not the ones who indiscriminately say yes to everything. They are precisely the ones who know with unwavering clarity exactly when and how to say no. Their no emanates from a place of deep confidence, not paralyzing fear. It comes from absolute clarity of purpose, not confused indecision. It stems from a profound understanding of their own inherent worth, not from desperately questioning it. Many of you spend your days perpetually reacting to other people's urgencies, constantly responding to every buzz of your phone, every notification, every casual request for just a minute of your time. Those fragmented minutes accumulate, those constant interruptions compound. Soon, alarmingly, your life isn't truly yours anymore. It effectively belongs to whoever makes the loudest, most persistent demand. Stop this insidious trend of giving away your power. Stop handing control of your most precious asset, your life, to others. Start saying no to what does not align with your unique purpose, and watch, with liberating clarity, how swiftly you begin moving toward your most cherished goals. Now let's address the critical concept of respect. Many people mistakenly believe that being perpetually agreeable, endlessly available, and infinitely accommodating automatically earns them respect. This is, unequivocally, one of the biggest, most damaging lies perpetuated in our culture today. Real, genuine respect does not emanate from making yourself small so that others can feel big. It doesn't come from always saying yes to every whim. It certainly doesn't come from acting as everyone's perpetual doormat. True respect is cultivated through integrity. It blossoms from standing firmly for something, from possessing core principles and values that do not bend and sway with every fickle gust of popular opinion. It stems directly from valuing yourself enough to instinctively expect and demand that others value you too. It arises from knowing your inherent worth and unequivocally refusing to accept anything less than what you deserve. When you bravely establish clear boundaries, when you articulate your needs and priorities, when you say no to what does not serve your purpose, people might for a fleeting moment be disappointed or even initially angry. Their comfort zone has been disrupted. But in the long run, and crucially, they will undeniably respect you for it. They will come to understand that your time and energy are not infinite commodities. They are valuable resources. They will perceive you as someone who knows their inherent worth and lives by it. Contrast this with the inevitable outcome when you remain too friendly, perpetually available, and excessively eager to please. Initially, people might seem content or even happy with your constant compliance, but over a surprisingly short period, they begin to take you completely for granted. They come to expect your sacrifice as their due. They assume your compliance without question. And slowly, subtly, insidiously, they begin to lose genuine respect for you. I have observed this disheartening pattern play out hundreds of times. The person who never says no becomes the first person everyone asks, not because they genuinely value them, but because they inherently know they won't refuse. The person who drops everything for others becomes the person others effortlessly drop when something seemingly better or more convenient comes along. The person who consistently puts themselves last inevitably becomes the person others too consistently put last. Building true respect through the implementation of boundaries isn't about being harsh, cold, or unapproachable. It's about being profoundly clear and consistent. It's about effectively communicating your expectations and unwavering adherence to them. It's about powerfully teaching others how to treat you by first demonstrating through your actions how you treat yourself. If you genuinely desire others to respect your invaluable time, you must first unequivocally respect it yourself. If you wish others to value your precious energy, you must first unequivocally value it yourself. If you expect others to honor your boundaries, you must first and foremost honor them yourself. It's a fundamental law of human interaction. We teach people how to treat us. Here's a hard truth, one that many of you urgently need to hear and act upon. Some of the relationships in your life are unequivocally toxic. Some of the individuals you are bending over backward, contorting yourself, and sacrificing your well-being to please are, whether intentionally or unconsciously, taking egregious advantage of you. Some of the connections you are desperately, valiantly trying to maintain are actively draining your life force rather than genuinely sustaining and nourishing you. Not all relationships deserve your finite energy. Not all connections truly serve your highest purpose. And, discomforting as it may be, not all people in your life genuinely want what is best for you. How do you then identify these insidious toxic relationships? Look for these clear, often subtle but consistent signs. You consistently feel exhausted after spending time with them, rather than energized or uplifted. They consistently take far more than they ever give, creating an imbalanced, draining dynamic. They often only contact you when they explicitly need something from you. They seem to disappear or become unavailable when you're going through challenges or need support. They actively resist or overtly ignore your attempts to set boundaries, pushing back against your legitimate limits. They subtly or overtly make you feel guilty for prioritizing your own needs, your own well-being, or for pursuing your own goals and dreams. Your success, your growth, or your achievements seem to make them genuinely uncomfortable or resentful, rather than genuinely happy for you. You frequently find yourself apologizing for things that are clearly not your fault, constantly seeking to pacify them. You feel like you're perpetually walking on eggshells around them, fearing their unpredictable reactions or disapproval. If several of these signs resonate uncomfortably in one or more of your relationships, you urgently need to make some difficult, courageous decisions. Sometimes, the most profoundly loving and self-respecting action you can take, both for yourself and, ultimately, for the other person, is to create significant distance. Some relationships genuinely need healthy space to recalibrate. Others, regrettably, need to end entirely. This isn't about casting blame, harboring resentment, or being vindictive. It's about recognizing that just as you possess a sacred purpose, you also possess non-negotiable priorities. And if a relationship consistently pulls you away from your fundamental priorities rather than genuinely supporting them, that relationship is likely costing you far more than it's worth. It's an investment with negative return. I am not advocating for cutting people off at the first sign of difficulty or disagreement. Life is complex, and relationships require effort and patience. I am, however, urging you to assess the consistent pattern of interaction, not merely isolated incidents. I am encouraging you to honestly evaluate whether a relationship, on balance, consistently adds to your life or perpetually subtracts from it. I am imploring you to consider, with unflinching honesty, whether this connection is genuinely moving you toward your highest purpose or consistently pulling you away from it. Your time on this earth is profoundly limited. Your energy, as we've established, is finite. You simply cannot afford to continue investing these precious, irreplaceable resources in relationships that persistently deplete you, rather than genuinely develop, nourish, and uplift you. This brings me to a truly critical, foundational point. Your purpose and your priorities absolutely must align. This is where many people experience a profound discontent. They eloquently claim to know their life's purpose, they speak passionately about their aspirations, but their actual daily priorities, their allocation of time, energy, and resources contradict those stated intentions completely. They might say they desperately want to build a thriving business, but consistently prioritize passive entertainment like watching TV or endlessly scrolling social media over diligently working on their business plan. They might claim they want to achieve optimal health, but perpetually prioritize convenience, food, and social obligations over consistent nutrition and exercise. They might express a deep desire for more profound, authentic relationships, but prioritize superficial social media interactions over genuine face-to-face conversations. Your priorities are the true, unfiltered revelation of your actual purposes, not the idealized ones you articulate in conversation, but the ones you demonstrably live by through your action. If you genuinely want to know what you are truly committed to, look no further than how you consistently spend your time, how you allocate your precious energy, and how you invest your hard-earned money. Look at what you consistently say yes to, and what you consistently say no to. Look at what receives your best, most focused efforts, and what merely gets your exhausted leftovers. If your current observed priorities do not fundamentally align with your stated, cherished purpose, then one of two things must, without exception, change. Either your priorities must be radically recalibrated, or you must be honest about what your true purpose actually is, based on how you are currently living. Being too friendly frequently leads to this exact debilitating misalignment between purpose and priorities. You might passionately state that your family is your absolute priority, but your inability to say no to your demanding boss leads you to miss your child's important recital. You might genuinely claim that your health is paramount, but your inability to say no to every social obligation results in missed workouts and chronic sleep deprivation. You might believe your burgeoning business is your highest priority, but your inability to say no to constant distractions, interruptions, and low-priority requests leads to perpetual stagnation. Stop this destructive cycle. Consciously align your priorities with your highest purpose by mastering the art of saying no to everything that doesn't propel you forward. So, how exactly do you break free from this invisible cage of people-pleasing? How do you transition from being too friendly to being truly free, truly authentic, and deeply purposeful? It's a journey, not a single leap, but there are practical, actionable steps you can start taking today. Get crystal clear on your purpose. You simply cannot protect what you haven't clearly identified. This is your compass. Take dedicated time to articulate your personal mission statement. What were you genuinely created to do? What unique contribution are you meant to make to the world? What specific problem are you here to solve? Until you have this fundamental clarity, you won't possess the necessary discernment to know what truly deserves your yes, and crucially, what unequivocally demands your no. Write it down. Review it often. Let it be your guiding star. Audit your current commitments. Be brutally honest with yourself. Make a comprehensive list of every single thing you've said yes to. Every obligation, every recurring responsibility, every regular activity, every favor you're perpetually doing. Next to each item, ask yourself, does this genuinely align with my stated purpose? Does it energize me or drain me? Does it move me closer to my goals or pull me away? You'll likely discover that a significant portion of your current commitments are taking you nowhere near your true aspirations, but are instead tethering you to a life dictated by others' expectations. Create scripts for saying no. One of the biggest hurdles for people pleasers is the fear of awkwardness or conflict when declining a request. This is where preparing simple, clear, and kind ways to decline can be incredibly empowering. You don't need elaborate explanations or lengthy justifications for your no. Practice these phrases until they feel natural and empowering. Examples: I'm not able to take that on right now. A complete sentence: that doesn't align with my current priorities. My plate is really full at the moment, so I'll have to pass. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to that. I wish I could. but I'm already overbooked. Remember, a no to one thing is a yes to something more important, often to yourself and your purpose. Start small, build the muscle. Don't try to overhaul all your relationships and commitments overnight. That's overwhelming and unsustainable. Begin by setting boundaries in low-risk situations. Practice saying no to the telemarketer. Decline an optional meeting that doesn't add value. Say no to a social invitation that you genuinely don't want to attend. As you successfully navigate these smaller instances, you'll build your no muscle, gaining confidence to gradually apply it to more significant and important areas of your life. Every small no is a victory. Expect resistance and stand firm. When you begin setting boundaries, especially with people accustomed to your unlimited availability, they will test them. They're used to your yes, and they won't relinquish it easily. Some will push back. Some might try to make you feel guilty, and some might even react with anger or disappointment. This is normal. Understand that their reaction is about their discomfort with your newfound boundary, not about your value or right to set it. Stand firm. The temporary discomfort of maintaining your boundary is insignificant compared to the permanent resentment, exhaustion, and unfulfillment of continually crossing it. Remember Marcus's story. The truly valuable relationships will adapt and deepen. Surround yourself with boundary respecters. Actively seek out and cultivate relationships with people who genuinely honor your no, who don't take your time or energy for granted, and who respect your priorities. These healthy, reciprocal relationships will provide immense strength, encouragement, and a template for how healthy interactions should feel. They will empower you to address the unhealthy one. Celebrate your progress. This journey requires courage and consistency. Acknowledge every step forward. Every time you successfully protect your boundaries, every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your purpose, recognize it as a significant victory. You are actively reclaiming your life, one conscious decision, one empowered no at a time. Many people, as we've discussed, build their own prisons with the bricks of accommodation. They construct walls of compliance around their magnificent potential. They fortify these prisons with the cement of fear of rejection, fear of disapproval, fear of being alone. And then they sit confined within these structures they built, wondering why their lives feel so constrained, so limited, so utterly disconnected. Fear. Many people, as we've discussed, build their own prisons with the bricks of accommodation. They construct walls of compliance around their magnificent potential. They fortify these prisons with the cement of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of disapproval, fear of being alone. And then they sit confined within these structures they built, wondering why their lives feel so constrained, so limited, so utterly disconnected from the vibrant future they once dreamed of. The key to your freedom is in your hand right now. That key, that single most powerful word is no. Don't let that be your story. Don't allow your inherent kindness to become your self-imposed cage. Stop being too friendly with the wrong things and start being unapologetically, fiercely committed to the right ones. Your purpose, your potential, and your true destiny. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel a stirring within to break free from this invisible cage and step into a life of deeper purpose and authenticity, then now is the time to take action. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And for more content designed to empower you to live a truly liberated, focused, and purposeful life, embrace your journey. Your journey to radical authenticity and profound impact starts now. Will you choose applause or purpose? The choice ultimately is yours.